Oh, there's like a Coomer in the chat. Let's see. Aren't you being hypocritical by saying people should take personal responsibility, then going and having the authoritarian take of banning porn? No, screw you, dude. There's no reason. No one cares that you're masturbating to porn. Go away. Like, you don't... Like, if you watch porn, your opinion just doesn't exist. There is no justifiable reason to use porn. It's like being a freaking meth head. That's the same... Like, I don't know... Authoritarian... Freaking word cells. But, oh, look, here's a word that I have bad feelings about. You don't want to do this thing. You don't want to allow this thing that causes literally nothing but harm, so that makes you a bad guy. No, it's stupid. It's stupid. There's no reason ever to allow pornography. There's no function of it. There's no use of it. And the funniest thing is that people are now coming out and saying, oh, pornography is a good thing. Why? Because why? Why should it exist? Why should it be allowed? What sane society allows any child to get on the internet right now and watch porn? Or any adult? It's not any better for adults, frankly. It's just freaking egregious. Like, anyone who endorses porn or even thinks that it should be allowed is just insane. You would not allow toxic chemicals into your house. You wouldn't allow, like, some, like, child molester to be, I don't know, like, your child's daycare provider, right? But that's exactly what you're doing when you're allowing porn. You're saying, I endorse all of this kind of stuff. It's just insane. I'm not a freaking libertarian. That's why, this is exactly what I said earlier in the stream, right? Because libertarians, they have this stupid idea that, oh, well, we should just have everyone should do whatever they want. Omitting the fact that, you know, again, like, leftists have this idea that, oh, well, the economy has to be centrally planned, more or less, or democratically planned. And anything that just happens out there, that's, you know, oh, that's like bad or whatever. And libertarians are like, they have that same logic with social affairs. They think they're for freedom. But in reality, the most, like, one commonality in all cultures before the 20th century is the absolute watertight conservatism of any kind of sexual morality. This kind of corruption can only be allowed in this libertine society where, oh, it doesn't actually, you know, it doesn't, you just got to be free to do whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid. Yeah, and aside from that, saying something like pornography is not free speech in the first place. It has nothing to do with it. It's demonic crap, and it's not speech. It's like you just going out there and causing harm to people. Or like, it quite literally is, imagine there was someone out there who just took pictures of, like, naked people, like genitals, and ran up to children in public and just showed them pictures of it. That's literally what pornography is. So would you support that? Would you support that out in the open? Don't you think that someone who does that, firstly, they're suspect. Secondly, anyone who endorses behavior like that is suspect. But thirdly, there's no difference between that and pornography. That's what it is. That is literally what it is. The Romans had porn mosaics. Yeah, the Romans had porn mosaics in their brothels, okay? We have it everywhere. You turn on TV, and there's basically softcore pornography, okay? Every commercial is like that. So the whole thing is, oh, look back at history where someone did some degenerate thing. Therefore, like, you know, kids should be watching porn since they're 8. This is ridiculous. This is just so stupid. This is just, I don't know. I mean, this is not an issue. Anyone who endorses, I don't know, it's just nuts. Like, I forget that people on the internet will defend this crap. Because I guess, in order to even defend that kind of stuff, you have to be so severed from the real life. You imagine going to someone you know, like some adult or some kid, and explaining to them that you think pornography should be freely available on the internet. Imagine trying to explain that. The only people who could possibly do that are people who live playing video games and consuming this crap all the time. It's just so antisocial and bizarre. Anyway, that's enough about that. No, like, these people are not going to be convinced, you know? Like, they're literally, this is the whole point. You know, actually, someone noted Libido Dominandi on my shelf the other day. This is the whole point of sexual control. Because once people are hooked into something sexually, it is hard to convince them to overcome it. They become governed entirely by their vices. People become highly predictable, and they will defend their new sexual identity to the death, right? That's the issue with it. Eric sends in some XMR. Porn is not free speech under the First Amendment. The Gab guy talked about this. I mean, yeah, obviously I don't know what their interpretation is. The Supreme Court, you never know what they're going to say. But yeah, it's insane to say that it's speech anyway, right? Either way, it's something that's totally legally permitted in a lot of nutty societies, like Western countries. And it's just not justifiable. I don't know. Like, people don't think about this freaking crap. Like, I don't know. There's a big gap between people who have these, like, internet ideologies and, I don't know. Again, imagine yourself explaining that to a normie. Like, I don't know. It's just silly. Just silly. Zach says, if the Lord gives me kids, I'm keeping them off the internet, and especially cellular devices, for as long as possible. Yeah, I think it's nuts. Maybe parents are just naive. I mean, I think for people older than millennials, for millennials, that's around the period where, like, the internet was all over the place, and people know that there are all these obscene sites on the internet. So a lot of us, I mean, the concept of giving a cell phone to a child is just insane to me. But there are a lot of people who are a little older than us that were before that internet age. Maybe they don't know what's out there on the internet, and they just give their kids phones. And a lot of cell phones will have this annoying, these like blockers and stuff like that, so they can't get on internet sites and things like that. But at that point, it's like, why are you giving them cell phones anyway? That's what I'm wondering. So yeah, I can't imagine. I don't know what goes through the head of parents who give their children phones. I mean, most of them in their heads, they're thinking like, oh, well, I'm worried my child might get lost. Well, you can get a GPS transponder, basically. I mean, you don't need like, there are so many antisocial things that come with a cell phone that, you just don't want, I don't know, you don't want that. You don't want a child around one of those things. So, Luke, this is an internet ideology. The real-world consequences of prohibition were terrible. How could the consequence of this not be just as bad? Are you insane? Like, what are you talking about? You think, like, people are going to kill each other if pornography is banned? That's just insane. The whole prohibition thing is a big meme anyway. Because, like, prohibition is getting, like, so for Europeans who don't know, there was a brief period in America where, like, they banned alcohol throughout the entire country, and it just lasted a couple decades, and it was, and they decided that was a bad idea. And the mythology behind it was like so chaotic because there were like a lot of people drunk it anyway. Firstly, alcohol is a long-standing cultural tradition which you can very much consume moderately and enjoy it and use it, and it's not like a good thing, but it's something that is part of cuisine, it's part of cooking, it's part of life. Pornography is not a long-standing cultural tradition. Pornography is something that mankind has never been around. There is no such thing as, let me just go to a hardcore porno site, okay, in, 1950. And people will try and equate, oh, look at these these magazines with naked girls. That's not even the same thing as pornography. That's bad, but it's not as bad. So we're in an entirely new world where you can now look at your average millennial. Look at the people in this chat, mind you, who will die to defend masturbating on the internet, okay? And the idea that please explain to me what kind of crime is going to happen when pornography is banned? Like, what kind of, it's just insane. Like, people are just fooling themselves. This is like and of course, mind you, when prohibition happened in the United States, did alcohol consumption go down? Oh, yes. Like, all of the metrics, like all of the social goals of prohibition succeeded. Yeah, I mean, they had to enforce it. That's hard. I mean, it's hard for something so popular, right? And it might be hard to enforce pornography if we banned it, right? But it will still drastically change the lives of millions of people who will not be getting sucked into pornography when they're in elementary school, because that's when kids start, when they're elementary schoolers now, and will totally change their lives to make them antisocial, incapable of having normal families and normal lives. So it's there is no reason. Pornography is not something, I mean, it's like saying, even pollution. Okay, let's talk about pollution. In economics, there's this concept of optimal pollution. And that's the idea that, there's a point where, pollution is bad, right? But there's a point where it becomes prohibitively expensive to get rid of the last bits of pollution. So there's kind of an optimal pollution rate, okay? So, that's fine. In pornography, there might be an optimal pornography rate, but it is so minuscule because it would be so easy if the American government came for pornography with the same gusto that it came for Donald Trump. Do you think it would be anywhere near as easy to find pornography on the internet? No, it could be easily wiped out. Oh, we're stealing that domain. Oh, we're canceling that, right? So all of these canceling people who are canceling things, again, because they're good, what if we just did that but with things that are bad, indisputably bad? And I know some people who will pretend that pornography is, in some twisted Coomer logic, it's somehow good for something, but there is no benefit ever that has ever come from pornography. It is entirely demonic. It is entirely destructive. Everyone who it touches, it destroys, without an exception. There is no safe use of it. There is no, I'm just going to play with it a little bit, and this is just for fun. It destroys everyone it touches. And anyone who's defending this is just insane. I have some stupid libertarian ideology that forces me to, I have to make up these reasons why I think that meth and porn should be legal. It's just stupid. They're just bad. They're just bad. I don't know what to tell people. There's no redeeming qualities. There are many bad things that have redeeming qualities. Alcohol's a good example, where the bad things are comparatively minor and controlled, and within a long-standing cultural tradition. It can be used, it's had traditional medicinal purposes. It's used in cuisine. It's something that you can enjoy, and it's not like it's not contagious in the same way that porn has, that it takes over people's lives. Okay. Oh yeah, or like this guy says the same thing. I started watching softcore porn as an adolescent back in the 90s because it was on Cinemax and we had... Yeah, so that's the thing. Firstly, a lot of people will say, I need sexual stimulation. And they give what is, in effect, the devil a foothold. There's this cope that, the human body, like if I'm not cooming all the time, scientists say that I'm going to explode. I'm going to become crazy or something. And it's just the opposite. And it's just stupid. Are you specifically talking about video porn or pictures just as bad? Pictures are not just as bad, but they are bad. And of course, there are artistic... You can like, for example, I'm not really anti-nudity. I think nudity is a good example of something that is across different cultures. There are some cultures where people go around nude. Nudity is not inherently bad. And there is an artistic place for nudity, right? Classical art has it and things like that. There's nothing inherently sexual about it, right? And of course, pictures and stuff, yeah, that's pornography. Yeah, that's bad, but it's not as bad as video pornography. So, I mean, a lot of it comes from, and of course, there are a lot of coomers that can interpret everything in a sexual way. I think it depends on the intentions of the person producing it. Like, no one making pornography has the idea that it's artistic. They might put what they imagine to be artistic flourishes, but it's pornography. Like, it's not made for artistic appreciation. It's made for cooming. Like, that's what it's made for, right? Alcohol kills people all the time. Yeah, it's a predictable and low level of death, right? And we know how to prevent alcohol deaths by telling people not to drive drunk, right? It's a very easy thing. And I think the insinuation there is somehow because pornography does not kill people, therefore that it's good. No, that's the stupidest thing. Pornography kills the soul. It's something significantly worse. There are a lot of girls and boys who get into pornography young, and they can never have a normal relationship without significant debrainwashing. They can't talk to people. They become shut-ins. They live in their rooms all day. They masturbate and they play video games, and that's it. Okay, is prostitution as bad as porn? No, definitely not. Absolutely not. I mean, actually, Aquinas actually writes about this. He argues that prostitution is of course a sin. It is fornication. It is a sin. But prostitution, there's a case to be made that it should be a legal thing even, he argues, because it's a kind of, it's basically people can have a sexual, he describes it as like a sewage system, right? Sewage systems, they're nasty, they're disgusting, no one wants to be around them, but there is a sense in which they might prevent other vices. And this is what coomers say in the case of pornography, but it's just not the case. Like, pornography is not equivalent even to a prostitute, right? Because pornography is something that stimulates people and never fulfills them. And it keeps them going, they're just crazy,